So in January of 2020, I made a similar video going over 5 current players who would never be winning a Stanley Cup. Since then, well, every single one on the list originally has retired cupless, except for one, who will yet again be featured here. Every player we're going over has a uniquely different and interesting story, since they've all been around for a hot minute. And with that, here are 4 NHL players that will likely retire without a Stanley Cup. (1997), the same year in which the first GTA game debuted, TY Beanie Babies were all the rage, and Air Bud hit theaters. Yes, I was a kid, and I loved the movie. Point being, it was a much different time. After showcasing his talents with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and Team Canada at the World Juniors, Jumbo Joe Thornton was selected first overall by the Boston Bruins. Interestingly, this was a roster compiled of names such as Mike Sullivan, Don Sweeney, and Anson Carter, that Thornton, as a rookie, joined. However, despite having considerable success with the team, and even notching 101 points in the 2002-2003 season, Thornton was traded to San Jose in 2005. Now, most of us watching are more familiar with this part of the story. Thornton and Marleau eventually gelled, captaincy was passed around until Joe Pavelski joined the team anyways, but it was during this time that Thornton not only endeared himself to the fans in San Jose, but also cemented his legacy as being the best player to ever wear a Sharks uniform. His best season with the team was the 2005-2006 season, in which he captured both the Art Ross and Hart trophies. However, after a long tenure in the Bay Area, full of postseason disappointment, Thornton in 2020 decided it was time to follow Marleau's footsteps and to try and win a Stanley Cup with Toronto. Unfortunately for him, the Leafs were unable to crack the second round, and therefore, in Cup pursuit, Thornton decided to take another route. After signing at league minimum with the Florida Panthers, Thornton had this to say about his decision. "I love what they're building, and I'm excited to be part of it, but everything is just about ultimately winning the Stanley Cup. And the Panthers are right there in my opinion," he says. Well, unfortunately for him, after the Panthers defeated the Washington Capitals in the first round, they were swept by their interstate rival in 4 games. Therefore, as the teams were forming the handshake line, spectators were already beginning to wonder if Thornton had played his very last NHL game. After he played a career low in ice time with 11 minutes on average, it seems pretty likely that the forward is realizing that his best days are now behind him. But the 42-year-old could decide to pull a Jaromir Jagr and take his talents elsewhere. Since his wife is from Switzerland, Thornton could take his young family over to join him temporarily before he hangs up the skates. With that being said, it's a pretty fair statement here to say that, as a player, Thornton won't be winning the Stanley Cup. At 39 years of age, Andy Greene has defied all odds, as it's not every day that an undrafted NHL player accomplishes the feat of playing 1,000 NHL games. Greene, who rose through the ranks via college hockey, was able to secure a contract with the New Jersey Devils after graduating from Miami University. Even though he played the majority of his first professional season with the Devils AHL affiliate, Greene was able to secure a permanent position in the lineup for the 2007-2008 season. Due to the longevity of his career, Greene was not only able to witness one generation of talent come through, featuring Brian Gionta and Travis Zajac, but also the next wave, featuring Hughes and Nico Hischier. And during his Devils tenure, part of Greene's legacy was being team captain for his final 5 seasons with New Jersey. However, similarly to so many players that played during the GM's tenure, Lou Lamoriello acquired Greene in a trade to the New York Islanders in 2020. However, for the defenseman, who is nearing the end of his career, it's highly probable at this point that Greene will be retiring without a Stanley Cup ring. The closest he was able to come to hoisting Lord Stanley was in 2012, as along with Martin Brodeur and Ilya Kovalchuk, lost to the LA Kings after 6 games played in the Stanley Cup Finals. Yes, we are once again taking it back to the 1990s. For Craig Anderson, you could say that his draft story was rather unique. After making his way to the NHL stage through the OHL, Anderson was initially drafted by the Calgary Flames, 77th overall, in 1999. However, after the goaltender failed to make it official by agreeing to a contract, he was drafted yet again, but this time by the Chicago Blackhawks, a team for the Indiana native that was much closer to home. However, after around a handful of seasons spent going back and forth between the Blackhawks and their AHL affiliate team, Anderson was traded to the Florida Panthers during the NHL entry draft proceedings of 2008. Really, you could say from there, the goaltender failed to find a true home for a hot minute. Following the stint with Florida, Anderson moved on to Colorado for a couple seasons. After having a hot start between the pipes, however, Anderson struggled immensely during his second campaign with the Avs and was therefore traded to Ottawa mid-season in exchange for Brian Elliott. Well, you could say that Anderson definitely found a fit in Canada's capital city. While playing his best hockey statistically with the Senators, he was able to help Ottawa advance all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals for the third time in the franchise's history. Even though the team later passed on extending the goaltender, GM Peter Dorian gave him the title of being the best the franchise had ever seen between the pipes. After giving it a go at league minimum salary for the Washington Capitals and the Buffalo Sabres, many are wondering if Andy has played his last NHL game. With multiple injuries keeping him from the lineup at times last season, and a family to mull things over with this offseason as well, Anderson, when asked about the prospect of retirement, said, "We're in limbo at the moment." Either way, it's fair to say that even without a Stanley Cup to his name, Anderson has had quite the run in net. Speaking of goaltenders, born in Vancouver, Price, who was part of one of the best draft classes in recent years, was Montreal's first selection, 5th overall. However, despite the legacy Price has cemented for himself in the present day, back in 2005, for GM at the time Bob Gainey, the move was considered to be a rather bold one. Even though, yes, Price was the best goalie available, many questioned the need for another netminder in Montreal at the time, considering the fact that the Habs currently had Jose Theodore on the roster, who had recently won both the Hart and Vezina trophies in 2002. This was a surprising move at the time. However, Gainey saw the rare element Price possessed, according to him, to truly carry a team while he was in the WHL. He's a guy who's seen a lot of shots and maintained his composure, Gainey says. He's helped his team win games when they shouldn't have. Anyways, enough about the draft story. After securing the starting position as a Hab, the rest was history, as far as Price was concerned. The Hart, the Vezina, the Ted Lindsay, 3 gold medals, and a Jennings trophy. Price has almost won it all, except for the one trophy that matters the most, the Stanley Cup. After helping his team reach the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in nearly 30 years, in 2021, Price's future has recently been up in the air. Almost immediately after Montreal fell to Tampa Bay in 5 games, the news broke that Price would be undergoing knee surgery and wouldn't resume any game action until October. However, the goaltender's timetable shifted after Price enrolled himself into the NHL's Player Assistance Program. Therefore, after beginning to practice again in March with the team, Price eventually made his return for the first time in over 9 months to official game action. The way he was received by fans, it almost made you wonder if, then and there, if it was indeed a subtle send-off. Either way, after playing a handful of games on the season, Price revealed that his knee still wasn't fully healed at the season's end. This leads us to believe that it's very possible that Price has already played his last NHL game. If that is the case, whether he chooses to retire or wait until his contract expires, Price will be retiring without a Stanley Cup. With that being said, if and when it happens, he'll be one of the best goaltenders to ever hang up the skates without a championship to his name.